Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us on our virtual roundtable on childcare with California State Senator Dave Cortese. Senator Cortese represents State Senate District 15, which encompasses much of Santa Clara County. Along with his accomplished career as an attorney and business owner, the senator previously served on the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, the San Jose City Council, and as a trustee for the East Side Union High School District. The senator has brought the community together to address and reduce homelessness, combat climate change, expand public transit options, and fight for the rights of immigrants, and has prioritized women's policy issues. He joins us this evening along with his legislative aide, Andrea Amavisca. Thank you, Senator and Andrea, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. Both of us are, and Andrea's one of the staff members that we've brought on here in the Capitol office is just doing a great job, and she staffs these issues, and she staffs health and human services issues, among other things. But as for me, I'm happy to be here. I appreciate the invitation. I have a long history as a county supervisor for 12 years in Santa Clara County, working on issues that are important to you, child care issues particularly. And I was, the vice mayor and a member, an 8-year member of the San Jose City Council. So I'm well versed on what the issues are, which makes it very exciting to be in the state Senate and to be up here. But we have to do something about the issues, and we need to make progress, and we need to make change. So I'm happy to hear from all of you this evening.
Thank you, Senator. We also want to thank you, parents, teachers, and guests for being here with us this evening. Tonight, you will hear from our panelists of Kidango Voices, who will share their experience with childcare and preschool. Following that, we will hear from Senator Cortese and then have some time for questions. So feel free to put your questions in the Q&A section on your screen, and we will share your questions later in our conversation. If you would like to ask your question verbally, please use the raised hand button at the bottom of your screen, and we will unmute you when that time comes. I'd like to introduce Julia Nazareno, who will provide an overview of our great work here at Kidango.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Senator Cortese. My name is Julia Nazareno. I am a regional director for Kidango. I supervise 7 centers in San Jose and 1 center in Fremont. Kidango is one of the largest child care provider in the Bay Area. We have about 4,000 plus children enrolled in our care. 95% of families receive free or low-cost child care services. And we have 50 plus centers across the Bay Area, and 16 of those centers are under your district. We are very happy to have you tonight and discuss the work we are doing in the community. Kidango offers programs for our infant, toddlers, and preschoolers. Here in Kidango, we are passionate about providing high-quality early learning services for children and families who need it the most. We have Head Start classrooms, state preschools, early intervention services, and family home child care provider networks that started with 14 and now at 70. They are all located here in San Jose. We have family advocates and enrollment specialists that work closely with families in helping them find resources that they need, such as housing, affordable health care, job training, just to name a few. Our teaching staff are very dedicated in providing different learning opportunities needed in social, emotional, cognitive, early language, and literacy development. We use developmentally appropriate practice to prepare children as they get ready to enter kindergarten. We recently launched our early childhood mental health consultation early last year. The goal of this program is to support and strengthen the relationship of staff and families as we work together in reaching the goals we have for the children. We want to create and sustain environments that will promote positive mental health for everyone. March 18 of last year, we were told that we have to close up all our centers so that we can protect our families from the COVID-19 virus. Here in Kidango, it was not an option for us since we cannot stop doing the work we need to do, especially during this global pandemic. We opened 9 emergency childcare centers so that we can provide care to the children of our frontliners. We right away planned on how to adapt to different guidelines from CDC to make sure we are keeping the staff and children safe. You will now hear from Kelly Arana. She is one of our center directors from Kidango GOS located in the East Side, San Jose.
He's muted, I think.
Kelly, you are
Here.
on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you,
Okay.
Julia. Good evening, Senator Dave Cortese. My name is Kelly Arana. I'm just gonna walk you through a little bit as far as what I do at my particular center. There's just so much that we can talk about, but just not enough time. So I'm just gonna kind of guide you and walk you through as to what I do at my current center. I am located in East San Jose. I am at the GOS location, and I've been in the field 20 plus years, working with children, working with families. Again, it's always been my passion to work directly with preschoolers and get those young ones ready and get them moving on to kindergarten as well. So that has been my passion. That has been my nurture to provide for the young ones. At my particular center is that we serve children and families 3 to 5. We teach kinder readiness, preparing our children to be successful when entering the kindergarten classrooms, with all the knowledge and the tools and the foundations to carry them on to kindergarten, which is really important, is that we prepare them to move on. I'm also an in-ratio center director as well, meaning that I work along closely with my teachers. I also work in smaller group sizes. Again, due to COVID-19 has lessened our exposure. So the smaller our groups are, the less exposure we have with the children. Our parents feel very comfortable with our standard of practice in keeping children safe. We also have provided grab and go lunches, grab and go breakfast to our distant learners at home, and continue meeting and contacting those families that do distant learning at home as well to keep that connection. Also, we've worked closely with our kindergarten teachers. We've attended the board meetings. We've attended community events with the Allen Rock School District as well. So we do have a close connection with our district as well. We have built strong relationships with our families and continue to watch them leave our preschool at 3 and 4 and 5 years old to move on. They go on to kindergarten. And we still try to keep that connection with those families as well. One thing I can say is that families are important to us. Families are important. And one particular family that I have had through our particular program is a family of 7 children that have been to our Kidango GOS site. So again, with those 7 children that they continue to come back, the youngest one right now is 3 years old. The oldest one now is 18. So that 18-year-old has continued on to college. And I've watched what Kidango, what we have done with these children that have come to our program. Not only do our families continue to come back, is the trust that we build. It's that trust that we have with these families that keep on continuing bringing the siblings. So with this particular family is, they started at 3 years old. They started at 3 years old. So imagine that family has brought those 7 again, all one after another, one after another. And so for me, I'm kind of honored to continue servicing families. And this is what we do at Kidango. This is what we do at Kidango. I couldn't be any prouder than to work with a large organization like Kidango. We've done so much, but we still need more. We still need more. But again, is that this is a walk in my shoes through our day with Kidango. So thank you very much for your time, Senator Dave Cortese.
Good evening, Senator Dave Cortese. First of all, congratulations on your new role. I am one of your constituents and I'm here to share my story with you. I'm a parent at Linda Vista, at the Linda Vista Center here in East San Jose in the Alum Rock area. My name is Yara Hidalgo. I was born in Mexico and raised in East San Jose. Education has always been an important aspect of my life. My parents brought me to the United States as a 2-year-old looking for the American dream, where opportunities for a better education would be more accessible. That American dream became a reality when I earned a full ride scholarship to attend Loyola Marymount University and acquired my bachelor's degree. As a DACA recipient, I've been able to obtain a work permit to fulfill my career as a teacher. I became a teacher to make an impact in my community and thus inspire other young people to achieve their goals and aspirations. As a single mother of a 3-year-old boy, finding an affordable childcare center has been my biggest challenge until I found Kidango. However, due to COVID, my son is currently in distance learning because there are limited spots for children in the classroom. I've spent the last 3 years looking for a childcare center who would either offer my son a scholarship or help him pay for the cost. There were countless calls I made to these centers where I received responses such as, sorry, the tuition is what it is and there's no aid to help you pay for the cost. Thank you for calling. When I called centers who offered support to low-income families, their response was that my earnings were higher than the limit. I either made too much or the cost of childcare was too high for me to afford it. This left me with much anguish. Upon my return from maternity leave, I had no other choice than to find a babysitter on my own. She cared for my son for 4 months until she could no longer watch him. I had a weekend to figure out who I was going to leave my baby with so that I could go back to work on Monday. I wept for the helpless situation I had found myself in. Memories quickly flashed my mind as I recalled 15 years prior to that moment, my mom was in the exact same situation. I couldn't imagine what I would do in this circumstance if I had more than one child, like my mom did. I'm here sharing my testimony because this has been my experience, but I know that there are plenty of other parents in worse situations. For example, my mother who had to look for family friends as babysitters to watch my siblings until they were old enough to reach the appropriate kindergarten age. My siblings went from babysitter to babysitter, which caused much distress to their emotional well-being. On the other hand, if I had the opportunity to enroll my child as an infant toddler, I would feel at peace knowing that my son was being taken care of at a facility where he was also learning. The consistency of taking him to a childcare center where I know he would be loved, taught, and cared for would relieve me from much unnecessary stress, let alone how significant and valuable of an educational experience this would have been for my son at such an early age. And what this would do for his academic success in the future is unimaginable. This is why expansion of infant child care centers is very much needed in our community. As a teacher and a single mom, having to work full time, I am unable to fully support my son with his distance learning schooling. I would love for him to be in the classroom, but just as I mentioned before with COVID, there's limited space. Although I appreciate Kidango for allowing me to enroll my son, the cost of childcare needs to become more affordable and accessible for everyone, regardless of how much or how little earnings are. I have a profession, but my earnings are simply not enough to cover the cost of childcare and still afford to live in one of the most expensive places in California. I am making ends meet with what I can. I know that many other parents feel the same way. Thank you for allowing me to share my story.
Good evening, Senator Cortese. My name is Teresa Martinez. I also work for Kidango. I'm an associate teacher at the Kidango Russo site in East San Jose. I've worked for Kidango for about 13 years now. I started off with the infant toddler program, and then I went on to the preschool. I chose to become a preschool teacher after volunteering with the PTA at my children's school when they were in elementary school, and I did that for about 5 years. When I saw firsthand how dedicated some of the teachers were with the children and the differences they made in their lives with just the simplest and smallest things, I saw how excited the kids would get and the impact it would make. I decided that I wanted to do the same and see if I could make a difference in someone's life. I feel that early learning is important because of the many benefits it offers to the children who would otherwise wait until kindergarten to get the help they may need early on. For example, through Healthier Kids Foundation, who provide vision, hearing, and dental screenings, we were able to identify a child with severe hearing loss. When she came into the center, she wouldn't really understand what we were saying to her when we would talk to her, and we would say it both in her first language, which was Spanish, and then also in English. And we just couldn't, figure out what was going on. We had screenings, and then we found out she had the hearing loss. And then after a follow-up with her pediatrician, she received hearing aids for both of her ears. So we just, there at Kidango, we feel that without early learning, this child may have missed the opportunity for services at an early age, which she desperately needed. Just to imagine coming to school and not being able to hear the teachers or your peers, and just to think of what that child had to go through. And luckily with the screenings, she was able to get the hearing aids. The parents were so grateful that Kidango was able to provide these services, and that, preschool was able to do that, and that she wouldn't have to wait until kindergarten to get them. So with your support, hopefully these services can continue with early learning, helping the children and the families in need, and especially being there in East San Jose, there's a lot of families that need a lot of help. Some of them don't know the resources that are out there. And so by coming to preschool, we can share these programs with them, and a lot of them get the help that they need. So right now I'm currently working on my general education to obtain a higher degree level permit in child development. And I would just like to say that I would like to see work experience taken into consideration and acknowledged, like when we're applying for the permits. We're at school with these children 8 hours a day, and Kidango offers multiple trainings. So I would just like to see some of these maybe go into consideration when we're doing applying. So I'd like to thank you for your time and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Hi, I am Kassandra Reyes. I am one of the early intervention specialists here at Kidango, and I serve in both a home-based and center-based setting. I am currently providing early intervention services to 3 wonderful children who have developmental delays and special needs that attend one of our Kidango centers. The classroom that I serve in is actually an inclusive one, and that just means that it is an environment where both typically developing children and children with special needs are both in attendance, and they are mingling and growing with one another. One of my many roles in the classroom is to ensure that the children I'm serving are always included in the daily routines and the daily activities planned. And I also make sure that I am adapting the curriculum and the environment whenever I see fit. In addition to working one-on-one with the children in the homes and in the centers, I like to make sure that I'm working very closely with the teachers and the parents, because I think it's important for them to have the tools and the confidence necessary to know that they can also work and implement my practices into their children's and students' lives when I'm not around, which is why I implement a coaching model, and I coach them on these developmentally appropriate practices and interventions. You know, early intervention is so important to young children because we're essentially targeting a need very young. And when you see a child between the ages of 0 and 3 display with developmental delays and you offer early intervention services, the greater the chances that child has at catching up developmentally or staying on a path of continued success because a foundation was laid down for them. I'm going to share a little story with you about a child I actually served in the center, and for confidential reasons, we're going to call him Johnny. Johnny started our program at 2 years old, and he came with a diagnosis of cerebral palsy and mild vision loss. And with a diagnosis like that, fears arise because you know, he was a kiddo who couldn't sit on his own. He wasn't mobile, so he couldn't really explore his environment freely. He couldn't talk, so he couldn't really engage his peers or his teachers, so he couldn't really speak up for his needs. And so he really required a lot of one-on-one attention. And with the early intervention services that I provided to him, collaborating with his parents and his teachers was the best thing that could have been done for his overall developmental progress and for everybody in that classroom that was involved with him. Although he did go on to receive additional services while he transitioned into the school district, he started those school district services with an amazing base to his developmental success for the rest of his life. And while his diagnosis is lifelong, the early intervention services that he received here at Kidango were very much appreciated by him and by his family. Not very many centers or preschools anywhere really offer that inclusivity. So the fact that Kidango's Early Head Start program and early intervention program were able to provide that was amazing. And we are providing that not just to this family, but to so many other families as well.
Thank you.
Good evening, Senator Cortese. It's so nice to meet you virtually. My name is Jasmine. I have been in the role of an early childhood mental health consultant for about 3 years now. So the consultation program that we have at Kidango is a really unique one, and it's really unique to the mental health field as well because it supports children through the adults. So we as consultants, we meet with the teachers and parents on a weekly basis, and we basically provide a safe space where they can share about their experiences in their respective roles. Our overarching goal is always to promote connection. So whether that's connection between the child and the teacher, the child and the parent, the teacher and the parent, between teachers, and also the connection that the teachers and parents have with themselves. So to think about currently what's happening, you know, what we're experiencing as a society with a global pandemic and a racial pandemic, this healing-centered perspective becomes really, really important. Teachers and parents are working so hard every single day to shape children's lives. As consultants, we acknowledge that hard work and their strengths every day whenever we meet them, because ultimately this leads to capacity building for the adults, where they can feel present enough to be able to support the child fully. I'm going to talk a little bit about the brain. So the human brain is built in a way where we have an area that can think and plan and learn, but we also have an area that can process emotions. If we're attending to the thinking region because we want children to learn, have a vast vocabulary and be ready for school, then we need to understand that we cannot do that without paying attention to their social emotional needs first. So children learn through play, and they learn within the context of safe, positive relationships with adults. So our model of consultation goes beyond just what's being presented to us in sessions. We want to make the adult caregivers feel seen and heard so that they ultimately can make the children feel seen and heard as well. So just to share an example from my work, I've been working with a teaching team that has experienced tremendous amount of stress in the last year or so. And we were seeing this stress being reflected in the children as well through their behaviors in the classroom. Just recently, we've noticed through consultation, there has been a mental shift where the teachers are happier, they're more willing to self-reflect. And just last week, I had a teacher from the same team share with me. She was saying that, before consultation, I was feeling really tired. And I really like consultation because after this session, I feel a lot more energized and I feel better. So just hearing those simple words made me so happy as a consultant, because ultimately when teachers and parents are happy, that leads to happy children as well. So with all of that being said, I think social emotional support in classrooms is extremely necessary because 0 to 5 is such a crucial age for children's development. Thank you for listening, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Senator Cortese. My name is Roxana Flores. I hope so you remember yesterday we had a meeting.
Yes, we did.
Nice to see you again.
See you again.
My name is Roxana Flores. I have been family home childcare provider for 12 years. I'm located in San Jose. And my family home and daycare, we offer quality care program for children successful education at school level. We take care kids from 0 to 13 years. In our family home daycares, we have the license for 14. We can take care of 14 children. We offer all kind of education like health, safety. We are social emotional. We are teachers. And we right now was a challenger to take care children for distance learning because we have to adapt many things for them. We need computers, iPads, all that kind of adaptations for them was really challengers for us because we have children from 3, we have children 4, 5 different ages, but we are here. We continue our work giving back to the community as we are teachers, professionals, individuals. I am preparing young children for better future in the schools. And right now we're working with the school age 2 as well. And we are super happy to help our families. We as a providers very concerned about prices we are facing in childcare, which has depended to the pandemic with 40% increase in operation costs related to COVID. Childcare providers barely sustain our business. Unfortunately, many family home care providers have to close under pressure from the increased staff, additional costs to keep their families clean, our family home daycare clean. Our medical costs insurance has increased too for us. In my experience, I got COVID-19 and it has been big challenging for me since I continue to have sequels and I don't feel 100%. I have to hire in 2 assistants. They help me because I get so tired and fatigued, headaches. I'm continue working, but with all these sequels was really challenging for me. Plus, I have to hire in a company every week come to clean my house for the safety program I am offered. I'm a single mom. I'm business owner. I'm working for many programs in the Bay Area. It's Kidango, of course, and they help me to continue in this field. I'm passionate to take care of children. I'm here to ask you to support to us as family child care. We continue working and help the community. For those families, they need safe place we take care of the kids. Many families, they're gonna come back to work for now. And I have really been big concern because so of those families, they don't have daycare. They ask for daycares, they ask for access to have child care programs, but we don't have funds. It's at least 1 year we didn't receive any referral. And it's a lot impact for us because families, they need the care, but it's no funds, it's no money for them, they help them. And right now it's gonna continue more because many families, they're gonna come back to work and they ask for care and quality care. Thank you so much for listening to me, and for us, I really appreciate your help and all the support.
Thank you, Roxana.
All right, Senator Cortese, thank you. My name is Scott Moore. I'm CEO of Kidango, and it's an honor for me to be able to join you here and then join our amazing staff and parents and Roxana. You've heard all the needs. You've heard the incredible work that's happening. It's probably a lot to take in all at once. I think, simply put, this is one of the great years where we can do what many of us have been working towards for decades for young children and their families. You're probably aware that the governor released a master plan for early learning and care in December, and that's a 10-year plan to really revolutionize our early childhood system that would address a lot of the problems that have been raised here today. After that was released, literally days after, a package of bills was announced, bills from both the Senate and the Assembly, to start to implement that master plan. And some of those bills, will be coming to the Education Committee, both in the Senate and the Assembly, and Kidango is sponsoring a few of those bills. So I just wanted to share with you. One is Assembly Bill 22 by Assemblyman Kevin McCarty. That will make transitional kindergarten universal, so that Yara's child and everyone's child, regardless of their income, will be able to experience transitional kindergarten. Right now, only 1/4 of children in the state get it, just by the accident of their birthday being born in the fall, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So making that universal is really important. It's a huge step. It would be the largest pre-K program in the nation. But just as important as that, it would allow Kidango and organizations like ours that provide preschool and childcare for low-income families to serve the same children when they're younger. Because what we know is preschool is important, but infant toddler care is even more so. And if we can get those children when they're 1 or 2, that's where the parents really have no other options. It's so hard to find childcare right now for babies. And it's when we can provide services that are most powerful. It's in those first 3 years. So, and not just for center-based programs like ours, but also family childcare homes. So we're sponsoring a bill, Senate Bill 50 by Senator Limon, which would actually transform the state preschool program to not just serve 3 and 4-year-olds, but to also serve babies. And to not only have state preschool offered in centers, but also for the first time in family childcare homes. So, it would also make it easier for families to enroll, so that you don't have to fill out a ton of paperwork. if you're already enrolled in Medi-Cal. If you're already enrolled in CalFresh, that means you're eligible. So some of these changes that, we've been waiting for a long, long time are actually working their way through the legislature right now. You may be aware the governor proposed sort of a down payment on the master plan in his January budget, recommending expanding transitional kindergarten, investing in professional development of early childhood educators. Teresa talked about that. So there's a lot we can do this year. Unfortunately, as you know, the state budget revenues are much better than we anticipated. And, times are very tough right now. But hopefully soon, we'll all be able to look toward a brighter future. So thank you for joining us tonight. And I think now we're happy to answer any questions that you might have and hear from you and your thoughts on our children and families' future.
I appreciate hearing from all of you in your different, you kind of have some of the same perspectives, but you have some different perspectives too, depending on exactly where, in the system, so to speak, that you're spending your time. Just as a matter of interest, general interest, and maybe specific interest from you, I know listening to Kassandra, you'd be interested in knowing that we have an inclusion bill that we're carrying, sponsored by actually County Office of Education in Santa Clara County, but that's intended to set the standard, statewide, that separate is never equal, which we learned an awful long time ago, thanks to Thurgood Marshall. But it's the same when it comes to ADA issues and all issues of inclusion. So these bills that you're bringing forward, I'm leaning in on all of them. I haven't studied in depth all of these bills, but my staff, including Andrea, have let me know that they all look like good legislation. If actually, in a couple of cases here, really transformational legislation. So, I'm glad that you brought all that to my attention. Like I said at the outset, I've been very involved in these issues. We tried to put a sales tax on the ballot in Santa Clara County twice, including last year. Supervisor Cindy Chavez and I did everything we could to try to get 4 votes out of 5. In the county, they won't let you put something on the ballot with a simple majority of 3 supervisors' votes. Because we have 5 county supervisors, you have to have 4, and we couldn't get the 4th. And it will always both frustrate and amaze me that we couldn't get that 4th vote twice in 2 different election cycles, because the county has the capacity, just in Santa Clara County alone, to address these issues. Frankly, both childcare and preschool issues in the county, with that kind of revenue capacity that the county has based on its property tax base. And I was a school board member back in the day when, as president of the school board, I was asked to endorse universal health care for children. And people thought, oh, how can that happen? How could you possibly have universal health care access for children in a county this big? There's 450,000 children, or whatever the number was back in those days. It was a few years ago, obviously. But not only was it achieved, it's been maintained ever since, right? So, so this can be done. It can happen. But now I'm a state senator, and I just wanted you to know I bring all that experience, with me, just like you have lived experience, both in terms of, I've listened to Ms. Flores speak twice, about not just her own experience, in the work, but also what she's observing. And all of you have shared what you're observing out there. For what it's worth, I spent all my life living in the East Side. I live in 95127 currently, except when I'm in Sacramento. Three nights a week. Usually I'm up here because that's where I am right now, because we're in session and we have committee meetings and I need to vote on these bills that you're pushing forward. So I'm glad you have, good authors. The authors on these bills are all people that I respect, and the co-authors and the principal co-authors and all that stuff. So I have all that information in front of me. So, but just wanted you to know I'm glad to have the background. I don't want you to think, oh, if he has all that experience and he's, I'm 1 mile from where two of you said that you're working. I'm literally 1 mile from my house to where you are. So, but I don't want you to think, well, was it necessary that we talk to him if he already has been working on these issues and he grew up in much of the area that many of you represent. And I know the issues with poverty and single parent families. And I remember going down to Foxborough. What is it called? Foxborough Manor? No, on Capitol Expressway, Foxdale. And there was a preschool program there at the time that was being funded by the County Office of Education. And I was down there to read to them because it was not Read Across America, but I forget the name of the other program. But anyway, I was just asked as an elected official to go read to the kids. And in that population at the time, I haven't been down there in a couple of years since that program, but was mostly monolingual Spanish families living in the complex, right? So the kids, if in preschool, we're basically going from monolingual to bilingual, which struck me as extraordinarily important before they got to kindergarten, first grade, or else, in my mind, I saw little kids there that looked just like me when I was that age. I grew up in a family of 5 kids that were only 6 years apart, so I used to be, even as a child, surrounded by children of that age. And I thought, how do you possibly ever catch up if you land, in literacy and reading, like I say at first grade, and you haven't been in an environment, and it's being taught in English. I understand we have dual immersion and we have schools that, are more sophisticated in that regard, but most are not. Most are teaching in English. How do you possibly ever catch up? And I know kids do, it's kind of a miracle, but we shouldn't be depending on miracles. We should just be doing what they were doing there. The sad thing was, the next year I asked to go speak to that same group. When, every year we do the same thing. And they said, oh, no, you can't go back there. And I thought, why? Because you don't want me to go to the same place twice? And they said, no, because the program was dismantled for lack of funding. And all I could think about was, okay, that cohort of kids moved on, right? So they're probably okay. But now there's a cohort that's still in their apartments or still, I don't know where they are, but they're not getting that help.
I'm happy to tell you that actually we now operate there.
Well, good job. Good job.
Yeah, we were able to get some extra funding.
Foxdale Manor, right?
Yeah, we're at Foxdale. So yeah, with also an infant toddler program there now. So both preschool and infant toddler, because of everything that you just mentioned. And we'd love to have you come visit when it's allowable.
Yeah, I'd love to do that again, because it's inspiring. It's more just a humanistic thing for me. You don't need me to visit to support what you're doing, but I'm a visual person, and I try to be present, when I'm in a situation like that, and try to really feel what's going on and not just look at it, but kind of feel what's going on. And I thank you so much for doing that. I mean, and still I grieve whatever gap time there might have been before you stepped in, and the county office stepped out. But some kids didn't get what they needed, right? And of course you can then you can then extend that all across California, not just not just San Jose or Santa Clara County or my district, but all across California. So, yeah, that's, anyway, I want you to know that I get it. I think I get it anyway. I don't get it maybe as well as you do, but I get it enough, you know, to, I think, put my votes in the right place. So thank you for reaching out. I appreciate it. And we're getting everyone vaccinated. So as soon as we're all vaccinated, invite me over to Foxdale Manor. Maybe Andrea will come down to San Jose and check it out. Okay.
We would love that. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Senator, do you still have a moment for some questions from our guests?
Oh, yeah. You want to ask me questions? Yeah, absolutely.
I believe
thought it was
I
only for
see
me to
some
ask you
of
questions.
our guests with their hands up in our
Okay.
chat. So if you have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand or put it in the Q&A box there, and I can queue up your questions for you. Okay. The first question, I have Ametria. Ametria, go ahead. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put you back on mute. If you're ready, you can raise your hand again. I see that there's Maureen. Maureen? You can unmute, unmuted you.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Making sure. Hi, everyone. Hi, Senator Dave Cortese. My name is Maureen Coker, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Head Start program here at Kidango. I actually started with Kidango as a teacher in one of our infant classrooms out here in Alameda County. And throughout, so I started as a teacher, and then I became a family advocate before I'm in the position that I'm at right now. And I just wanted to ask a question in regards to what the family advocates. So all our Head Start centers, we have family advocates that support the families. They provide resources for the families. They're kind of like the family's liaison in advocating for themselves and also for their children. And they're also there to support our teachers. Right now, we only have the family advocate at our Head Start classroom, which is not all of our Kidango classroom, because some of our Kidango classrooms are state preschool. So I just wanted to see like what can be done funding wise, just so we can provide this support at every single center, whether it is state preschool or Head Start or early Head Start classroom, just so that the teachers and the families can feel like they have that extra support, and we're able to get more families to advocate for themselves and for their children, like for example, for better education. So I just want to see what can be done to ensure that all classrooms have family advocates in them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. Andrea was telling me that my volume is poor with this microphone. I only blame the state of California because they gave me this laptop and it's the only device I have that has that problem. I should have probably called in on the Zoom with my iPhone. It would have been better. And that said, I'll just try to speak more loudly and maybe that'll compensate a little bit. You know, I mean, I appreciate you raising the issue to the person that asked the question. You know, I don't have a one sentence answer for that, but again, it comes back to funding. Some of the things you already talked about, the governor is, you know, trying to set the stage for in terms of increased funding and sort of building out the master plan has to include what you're looking for. And, you know, it's, I don't think it's any more complicated than that. And what can I do? I can support those budget efforts and legislation. And if down the road you think you need another piece of legislation that focuses on that and you need authors for that legislation, by all means, let me know.
Thank you. And we have Alondra next with a question for you.
Hi, can you hear me? Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Good evening, Senator Dave Cortese. It's really good to have met you personally tonight and have you here with us. I did have a question in regards to housing. So for example, I'm a lead family advocate. I support the infant toddler classrooms at Arpaco, and I work very closely with our families. And one of the challenges that I do see throughout is housing opportunities. I know a lot of them are in need of either housing or in the wait list currently. And I was wondering, is there anything that we could do maybe to possibly help our families and Head Start have priority in the wait list, just so they can have better access to housing opportunities? Thank
When
you
you
so
say
much.
wait list, do you mean for vouchers? For
For
Section 8
like
vouchers?
low income housing opportunities, so where they
Yeah,
fill out an application and they're just waiting to have an opportunity to have a house or an apartment.
yeah, we're working on that. But one of the other areas I have a lot of background in is housing and the whole issue of housing affordability and tenant protections and housing production. And because of that, the president of the Senate Tony Atkins asked me to be part of a small group of senators that is going to be trying to push through significant housing legislation now, this year, in this session. And so I have some of my own. In fact, I'm carrying a bill on behalf or in partnership with the city of San Jose to establish more tenant preferences so that tax credits and benefits to increase both the production and opportunity of low-income housing in San Jose are available. So I want you to know, I co-chaired something we still call the Measure A campaign in 2016, which created a $950 million housing production bond to build extremely low income housing. That's for families that are at 30% of area median income or less. So we're going to keep trying to do that. We're going to keep trying to create more affordable housing opportunities, to create it more quickly, and to do things like expediting or streamlining the opportunities for folks to either build or convert smaller spaces on their property, what we call accessory dwelling units, and make those legal and make it quick, to get them made legal. I believe even to some degree, at least as temporary measures, converting unneeded garage spaces to actual habitable spaces and allowing those to exist, is important right now. So yeah, I'm all in on that. We're working hard on that. It's a huge problem. And there is, unfortunately, despite everything I said about the good work that was done in Santa Clara County thus far, we still have the worst affordability situation in terms of housing of any place in the country, not just the state of California. I have children myself who, have affordability problems, and I see it firsthand. We try to hire people to work for me in our district office in San Jose, and several of the positions there are very, very challenging and difficult to fill because they don't pay. Even the state doesn't pay enough for people to afford housing in our own county, in our own district, Senate District 15. So believe me, it has my full attention. And again, we're always open to ideas and thoughts about what we can do, to help with that. So if you later on at some point in time want us to look at legislation that specifically assists, with housing for teachers and childcare providers, for example, let me know. We're happy to weigh in on that, to try to help.
Thank you. We also have Esperanza, who has a question.
Yes. Are you guys able to hear me?
They're a little
Can you
low.
speak
If you
up?
could speak up loudly, please.
How about now?
Better.
Good evening, Senator Cortese. My name is Esperanza Morales. I am a family advocate for the Head Start program within Kidango. I work with children and families offering services part of the Head Start program. And through our communication with our families and based on their responses, one of the questions that I have is that, as I mentioned, many families that we're able to serve in our Head Start programs come from undocumented immigrant families, and they face challenges that undermine their financial security and health. My question is, what will you do to ensure undocumented immigrant families have access to health coverage, nutrition assistance such as WIC and/or CalFresh, and are protected from the public charge rule?
Yeah, I, of course, oppose the public charge rule. And I think with Trump out of office now, we're going to see relief there, number one on that. You know, I'm a strong advocate of really two things that you're talking about is all safety net services and all education opportunities to be provided regardless of status. I brought forward when I was a county supervisor, a law in Santa Clara County that the county is not allowed to ask questions of status ever or to maintain any registries on status. So everyone comes in with the same opportunity if they're a resident. It's about being a resident. It's not about being a citizen, or it's not about what your status is. But that needs to be the case up and down the state too, you know, and it's not, of course. There's different attitudes and rules and laws around the state in different counties, depending on, you know, how they view those topics. So we do need to keep pushing, even right here, you know, in our own state. But again, as far as I'm concerned, everyone's entitled. If they're a person living in this state, they are entitled to safety net services and education, regardless of status. And it's got to be safe. You know, we started rolling out testing centers, and I've been pushing the governor's office to do equity vaccine centers that are in safe places, that are in places that are viewed and perceived to be safe. You know, I thought one of the mistakes that San Jose made last year was to open up a testing center, a COVID testing center at the Police Activities League office. You know, a lot of people don't feel comfortable there. We used to have DUI stops that were targeted right across the street from there, and people were getting caught up without driver's licenses and without, being able to produce their vehicle registration and having all kinds of problems. And we put an end to that back in the day. But I carry all of those attitudes with me here in the state Senate. I've been here, just over 2 months, but I want you to know I still carry those same values forward.
Thank you, Senator. I noticed that we have one more hand up, and I know it's 7 o'clock, and I'll be mindful of your time. Do you have one more second for another question?
Yes, and I'll try to give a more concise answer too.
Thank you. So
I'm not hearing the question though.
No. Emateria, are you there?
Oh, muted maybe.
Okay, I see something.
It looks like she's muted.
Emateria? You can, I've unmuted you.
Okay, now I can hear. Maybe the child's going to ask a question.
Did you have a question? I see, yes, okay. Well, thank you so much, Senator, for your time with us this evening. Touch with you.
I think we lost you.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I apologize for that. Just wanted to say thank you for your time with us, for hearing the Kidango voices, and for engaging with our guests and answering questions. We really appreciate your support, and we look forward to continuing these dialogues with you and your staff. If there is a way that your constituents can stay in touch with you, please feel free to let us know. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a chat box. Andrea put the contact information in there. Our district office is 408-558-1295. And always, you know, phone still works, right? You can call and, you know, they'll follow up and get you connected with me or with somebody, with Andrea or somebody on the staff. And my email, my state email is dave.cortese, Cortese, just like on the screen, at sen, just like on the screen, sen.ca.gov. There you go. Or you can say senate.ca.gov, either way. And yes, if you email, we take great pride, even with COVID and limited staff in the office. You know, people are working remotely here too, but we take great pride in trying to respond to everyone within 24 hours. And even if we have to go back and get another answer from at least your initial response, you'll hear from someone in 24 hours, so you know that your message was received or your email was received. Okay. But that one mailbox I just gave you, that does come directly to my iPhone. All right.
Thank you so much, Senator.
All right.
Thank
We'll
you.
look forward to further discussions with you. And, you know, unless we have any kind of problem or question with these bills, in which case we would contact you, Mr. Moore, and, you know, the rest of you. But if you don't hear from us, no news is good news. Okay. And you can put your efforts on people that are more difficult to convince. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Senator.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Okay, good
everyone,
night.
for joining us.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.